Former President Joe Biden announced the very serious and personal news that he has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. And in the most predictable fashion, the MAGA response has been hateful. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's break this down. So Don Jr. led the way with his tweet that said this, quote, "What I want to know is how did Dr. Jill Biden miss stage 5 metastatic cancer, or is this yet another cover-up? Question mark, question mark, question mark." This coming from Trump's son, currently the president of the United States. When somebody announces news of cancer being diagnosed this late stage, it's a devastating diagnosis. Even with treatments available, it's shocking, it's sad, it's so difficult, obviously, for the family and the loved ones. Don Jr. evidently has never had this experience, has never had a loved one or a close friend being given a shocking and devastating cancer diagnosis. That privilege has given him the ability to send this post, as hateful it is. First of all, so many errors in that post, talking about Dr. Jill Biden, and even though we know that she has a PhD and not a medical degree, but they always like to put shade on a woman's education. And in this respect, he thinks it's funny to conflate the fact that a medical degree and a PhD confer two different ways of referring to somebody as a doctor. And then in his thing, he talks about stage 5 metastatic cancer, although there is no such thing as stage 5. The most serious label that they put on it is stage 4. That seems to be an unknowing error. So maybe he could have used Dr. Jill Biden's PhD education to educate him a little bit better before he did that post. But really, the sad reality of the entire post is not only is he saying something so insidious about Joe Biden when he is in the middle of facing this diagnosis, he's saying that basically you hit it. There's no way that you could be at this stage without knowing it beforehand. So he's disparaging him and apparently defaming him when he is in the middle of grappling this. And the fact is, I don't know any, of course, inside information about the health condition of the former president, but there are so many people out there who know what Don Jr. said is wrong because they know somebody who has been diagnosed with cancer at a stage 4. I mean, I just recently spoke at Meidas Health. Meidas Health is focusing only on health, about how somebody very close to me, somebody young and very close to me, has been diagnosed with cancer at stage 4. This is actually sadly very common. This is a tragedy that happens to American families all the time because even in a country like us, with healthcare as we have and the diagnostic tools as we have, cancer is very hard to find. Somebody can appear so healthy and not have symptoms. Their blood works come normal, scans come back normal, and they still have it. This is why it is such a difficult disease to still treat and to find, and why so many millions of Americans suffer from it. And so Don Jr. obviously has never had that personal experience. And he's decided to use his lack of experience in a way to not only disparage Joe Biden, but all those families and loved ones and friends of, neighbors of people who have had this disease diagnosed at such a late stage. And speaking of cancer, Joe Biden himself, as president, as we know, because of this loss of his son who had brain cancer, Beau Biden, developed the cancer moonshot in his name. And all of what Joe Biden did to advance treatments for cancer and all the things Trump has done in his short 100 so days in office to undo treatments of cancer, affecting millions and millions of Americans. And that comparison is just like Don Jr.'s tweet, because He doesn't care if his tweet is also hurtful to the other Americans. And Biden always cared about how things affected even other Americans. So he took it upon himself to try to cure cancer for everyone. Let's just get into the facts of it. So when Biden relaunched the cancer moonshot in 2022. He created the first ever cancer cabinet where the 15 heads of agencies collaborated solely on the purpose of curing cancer. Their goal was to reduce the death rate of cancer by 50% over 25 years. And they funded tens of millions of dollars into the cures and treatments for cancer. The Cancer Moonshot has, quote, supported 250 research projects and more than 70 programs. And that was just, updated last April. So this is what we want our government to do, to put funding, talent, agencies to collaborate to heal things that afflict us. And in comparison, what Trump has done, a Senate report showed that Trump cut funding into science for cancer in particular by 30% just since he's been in office. And the cuts to Harvard alone have affected breast cancer. According to the director of the Harvard Ludwig Cancer Center, she says, quote, in my lab, the ultimate goal of our research efforts is to find better ways to detect and destroy cancer in its tracks. And the breast cancer research project that is funded by a National Cancer Institute grant that is currently frozen specifically aims to identify and profile the earliest precursors or harbingers of breast cancer before these precursors become cancer. This is not controversial. This is not political. This is about curing cancers that people are affected from. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Data brokers make a profit off your data. Your data is a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, and harassment. But now you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. What do data brokers do? Your name, contact information, social security number, home address, even information about your family members could all be compiled by data brokers and sold online. As someone with an active online presence, privacy is really important to me, and I became a customer of Delete Me before they became a sponsor because I care about not having my data out there for people to use either to do identity theft or harassment. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan by texting mistrial to 64000. The only way to get 20% off is to text mistrial to 64000. That's MISSTRIAL to 64000. Message and data rates may apply. From January to March, the National Cancer Institute has lost $300 million under Trump. $300 million. This is what Trump thinks of Americans who are dealing with cancer. And for example, the cuts to all of the universities, the overhead cuts that Doge was making, the cuts that Trump makes to Harvard, to Columbia, to Johns Hopkins. The reason why it is so painful to those trying to come up with cures to cancer and other ailments is because the government in the United States uses the universities as its research arms, let's say. We don't have government labs. We collaborate with our universities and have for years. Let's take, for example, the University of Michigan. The University of Michigan, for 15 years, researched and developed an ultrasound that is used on liver cancer lesions on the liver. So lesions that have spread or originated on the liver. So this is exactly the metastasized cancer. University of Michigan spent 15 years developing this that has just now gotten approved by the FDA in the last 2 or so years and is being used by patients. So when Trump talks about attacking woke universities, he is really talking about attacking science, the development of science. This in particular, ultrasound. If you're taking away the money, the universities can't come up with the next treatment. So as we see, MAGA try to use this as a way of yet again, talking about Biden and his age. Remember, this isn't even just about Biden. Biden himself would say it's bigger than him, right? He had compassion to people suffering from cancer. He did something about that. Trump is undoing all of that and will get away with it. And it'll be allowed us to be distracted by something else unless we keep our attention on the cuts he's making to cancer, science, and developments. My name is Dina Doll, the MeidasTouch Network. Be sure to free subscribe so we will continue to update you on this story and others.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.